Listen, one time I told the kids, I was like, I work hard for my money. And I was like, okay, that's not going to be a saying that we say in this house anymore.
Right.
We're going to change that. Of course, I sacrificed all that stuff, but do I have to continue that trend and relationship with money in order for my family to be okay? Do I want my kids to have to say that all the time?
Gotcha.
Sure, you work for your money, or you've put effort and sacrifice, but to what end? I don't want it to be like till.
And that doesn't have to be a continuous thing. That's not.
Yeah. When in the beginning, sure.
Right. That's not the ongoing relationship with work and money.
Right. Exactly.
Hey everyone, I'm K.A. Will.
And I'm Gabby.
And we are K&G Culture. This is our podcast where we talk about creating your culture. And that just means, the atmosphere in your household can be different from the household you grew up in. You create the atmosphere, your decisions, your morals, how you raise your kids, finances, all those things we like to talk about and touch on. The benefits of marriage, things that we wish other people had taught us or talked to us about.
So, as we look back over our lives, all right. So, today we wanted to talk about how our lives have changed, and lots of things have happened. Lots of major things, but just want to reflect on what the Lord has brought us through, and how we've grown and matured through our marriage. The first thing that came to my mind was I am more aware of how my actions affect others. I'm just living my life doing my thing. Like, no one's gonna look at little old me. Let me just do what I have to do. But since having kids, I'm just more aware of how I come off to them, or how my behavior might affect my words, the look I give, whether I praise them or not. I might be doing too much because I'm like, man, they're gonna go to therapy for this. But I'm just more aware of that, how my actions have consequences outside of me.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely, when I look at how our lives have changed, just to give a little background, like, we've moved a lot of times. Like, we've moved for school, we've moved for work. Of course, we moved when we first got married. So just the whole moving thing, and I talked about before in previous episodes, moving for me is it was very emotional. It wasn't until after I got married and we started moving together that I kind of dealt with those feelings and emotions. Because to me in the past, for those of you who don't know, like in the past, in my childhood, moving always represented something bad happening. As to the result of why we had to move.
Get away. Okay.
Yeah, why we had to move. So that has completely changed. That is something totally different. So just being aware of that. So like our lives have changed in so many different ways. Like you said, like from before not having kids, one of the things I realized is time management is like so crucial, because we were having a good time. I don't want to say, we were wasting time. But after we had the first child, we were just like, what were we doing with all of our time before this? So I guess that's a word of caution for everyone who is together and haven't had kids yet. Make sure you be productive with that time. Enjoy that time as well. Because you definitely have to redistribute that time after you start having kids, after you get married.
Right.
So,
I related. Yeah, we had too much time to waste on watching Castle. Castle. What else you watched?
Chuck.
Yeah, just random.
Yeah, we were binge watching stuff. So, So another thing,
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy was another one. So another thing I've realized in how our lives have changed, and marriage, not just the kids, but marriage as well, is being able to pivot. Like me, perfectionist. Like, you know, I'm a creature of habit, and it has been like gears grinding, you know, especially earlier in our marriage. And like I said, and then having kids added on top of that. For me, being able to just pivot from my ways. So I guess that's what I wanted to say earlier. It's not just pivoting like daily, like from event to event, but just like overall, I've just had to learn how to pivot, because I realize if you don't pivot, it can break you. It can be emotionally draining. It could be mentally draining, because you're trying to do something one way, the way you're used to doing it.
Right.
With the, you know, with good intentions, of course.
Yeah.
But your circumstances have changed. Like, you now live in a different size house.
Right.
You now live in a different city. You now have one child that you have to take care of. This is an infant, a baby. Now you have two children. You know, so circumstances change, and we have to learn how to pivot with them. And that has been a big lesson for me. Still learning it.
So proud of you.
This one, she's gonna make me pivot, even when I don't want to. So, but I'm grateful for it. Like, it really has taught me how to grow.
Look at you.
Yeah.
I'm very proud.
So, any other significant changes that you can remember, or like big changes, or changes that have affected you, as we went on?
So learning that work isn't the end all be all.
Go ahead.
We were raised that if you have a job or responsibility, you do it to the best of your ability.
That's right.
Forsaking all, just make sure, even if you're sick, you go to school. Even if such and such happens, you go to work. And sacrifice my 20s for work. And which, of course, these are not bad. Like, these are not bad things in and of themselves. But it's just how much you give to the job without filling yourself up with other things.
Right.
Or even the job not filling you up, right? And
not being balanced.
Correct, and not giving you what you are worth or deserve. So, just realizing work is not... And then also seeing how the problems at work can affect your mood and your behavior at home. It's like, man, it's for the birds. I mean, we have to work, right? But just realizing that it doesn't have to have my all. What has to have my all is Jesus, my family, and then that work can, you can deal with work and be able to like do the job for 8 hours or whatever, but not letting it take over, and not feeling that pressure. To give 120%.
Yeah, and I feel like because we've gone through these different stages, that we have been forced to prioritize.
Right.
So like you got to know what your priorities are. Like you just said, it's like God, family, then work. You know, because people don't realize, because they don't take a mental inventory. Not that they mean to, but some people might put work first, like you said. Like,
oh, I did. I surely did.
Like med school or like pre-med, it's like work, you know, you work.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, God, I'm sorry. God second, then family. That, you know, it can happen. Not that you intentionally try to do it that way, but because of the pressures of life and like whatever situation you're currently in. Like, it's so different when, you know, people say, when you're in a situation, sometimes you don't realize the different aspects of it because you're in it, as opposed to someone who's on the outside seeing a different view of everything you're going through.
Right.
So I definitely see that from our different stages in marriage, like from school, work, you know, like I said, having kids, and we've had to adjust each time, had to pivot each time and make sure that we keep those priorities in line, even as we pivot, even as we go to a different stage.
Yeah, because two things. Because there's a lot of things that try to capture your attention, try to distract you from the core things, like creating your own culture, for us keeping God first and the family first. But there's a lot of things that will try to attack it and try try to dissolve those core relationships. And then 2, Kareem has been telling me this about work all the time, but I'm in it and I'm like, you just don't understand. No, he understood. I didn't understand the assignment, but he understood. Again, looking from the outside looking in, how it's not. It can be detrimental, but I'm not saying it's always detrimental. But just being aware again of how much energy you're giving to certain things. Right. On that note, how much energy I give to negativity. And realizing this week, so this is growth as you see it now. How much I need to
happening
give
in
energy,
real time.
correct? How much energy I need to give to positive things, and because truly, at least for me in my life, there have been more good than bad. There have been great situations better than the worst ones. But what stays in my mind? What stays at the top? The worst ones. What has me emotionally riled up? The worst ones. And the Lord is just teaching me that you rejoice in the Lord always. Right? Like, protect your peace. What else? Be the force in the room. Like, just because someone's giving off negative energy doesn't mean I need to absorb it and give it right and reflect it right back to them. I can give my own energy into a situation.
Yeah.
You're right, the way that I want to. Like this morning, perfect example. So I woke up and I was like, okay, we're tired, but let's do it. I'm gonna wake up the kids slowly, rub their back, hold them, but then let's move on to the potty, right? So Shyla, she woke up in the middle of the night, so she was tired, so she started whining. All right, let's try with Khalil. Now I start singing to him, good morning, singing a good morning song. The boy didn't wake up. So I had to pick him up, take him to the potty. Then he started falling out because he doesn't want to go to the potty because he's tired. So then now I'm drained. I just woke up.
Already.
And I'm drained. And I'm like moping around. And of course, because I'm drained, I'm giving off bad energy to them too. I'm being short. So then I went to go brush my teeth, and the Lord was like, well, you don't have to be this way. Well, leave me alone. I just want to be sad or mad or whatever. Because I feel righteous in my feelings, right? It's like, no, you could just turn this around and be happy.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like something that took more energy, like to choose to be happy, but it just came out. So I walked around the house and I said, good morning, everyone, bright. And Shyla gave off, good morning, mommy. Kareem said good morning. Khalil's still in his feelings, but that's okay. So then when I go
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
We'll look like this in the podcast. So then I go to clean him, and I was like, all right, how are we going to approach this? Am I going to try to force him to let me clean him up, or are we going to do something different? So I was like, please do this, please do that. And I was like, man, I sound robotic. Oh, robot. I was like, mommy robot. And then he responded, and we all just were robots for the morning.
Love it.
And we still got out a little late, but that, better than if I was like, I don't know. Anyway, so close to being on time. Please, close to being on time and still late, right? Okay, you're right. 10 minutes late, but we were happy. And we could approach each other with understanding that, okay, the kids are not in the best mood. I don't have to force them to do something like... Yeah, it was good.
So I want to go back to when you said, we had talks about when I was just bringing to your attention, hey, don't... Remember, you're giving all this energy to work.
Right.
Remember, you have me, you have the kids. What were those conversations like? Like, what stood out to you? No, seriously, I want to know.
I just feel like you didn't understand like what work required
gotcha.
for medicine.
Right.
But I had to see it for myself.
Right.
Yeah, at that situation, I had to see myself like, oh, I really am putting this before you guys. Once I realized that, I was like, oh, forget work. I'm just kidding. Kidding, not kidding.
Not in this house.
You hear me? Now I'm like, no.
Before this will not be our culture.
Listen, one time I told the kids, I was like, I work hard for my money. And I was like, okay, that's not going to be a saying that we say in this house anymore.
Right.
We're going to change that. My money works hard for me. I'm not working hard for my,
Gotcha.
I work hard for, yeah, I did, but of course I sacrificed all that stuff, but do I have to continue that trend and relationship with money in order for my family to be okay? Do I want my kids to have to say that all the time? No.
Gotcha.
Sure, you work for your money, or you've put
effort
and sacrifice, but to what end? I don't want it to be like till.
And that doesn't have to be a continuous thing. That's
right.
not.
Yeah. When in the beginning, sure.
Right. Yeah. That's not the ongoing relationship with work and money.
Right. Exactly.
So, question. So, what emotional or physical, emotional, physical intimacy, mental stuff has changed? How has that changed when it comes to like seeing how we've developed and changed and grown in marriage?
As I always like to do, tell on myself. So the beginning of marriage, okay,
Not tell herself.
7 out of 9 years. I'm talking about beginning of marriage. 7 out of 9 years. I knew I had problems, but I was like, Kareem was the problem.
Ooh.
You ready? So when we had an argument or conflict, it was his fault. He didn't understand. He didn't this. So then when we talk with a therapist, and when we watch other videos of or podcasts of married couples, I've learned that there could be two truths or two perspectives that are equally valid.
Right.
Everyone thinks they're the hero in their situation, and they're in the conflict. And therapy helped me to realize, no, he's not. The problems are the problems, and that I don't have to make you a villain in my mind or an antagonist.
And I was just gonna say that one of the sayings that we came up with is, "You're not my enemy," because so many times in relationships, marriages, we don't realize, like, in our minds or when we open our mouths, we're speaking to and treating the other person as if they're the enemy. Well, if they were the enemy all along, you wouldn't have been attracted to them.
Right.
You wouldn't have got with them. Y'all wouldn't have spent all this time together, invested so much in each other. All the things, the different things you've experienced together. You wouldn't have done all that. So they're not the enemy. So one thing can't go wrong, and then you just all of a sudden start talking to them and treating them like an enemy. For me, the intimacy part, like, we have grown because, again, hearing each other out. Right. I definitely see where the communication is key. Communication is not just key for sex. Communication is just key for, like we said, create your culture. So communication is key for creating the culture in your house. Like, if we never sat down and talked about what we want to do with our lives, what we want what do you want out of this marriage? What do you want this life to be like? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What are some things you want to do, before, God forbid, you die? What are some things you want to do? That's all communication. And we have been so depending on, again, I have to go back to our background and our past traumas or issues we haven't dealt with yet. We have been so, what's the word I'm looking for? But it can cause you to be so guarded that you don't even communicate well. You think that you're holding it inside and you're protecting yourself, but what you're really doing is closing off the doors of communication.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why I say built-in best friend, or why I value marriage, because I have a best friend, is to be able to share and receive acceptance from the other person. So being able to communicate, but then also, like, we accept each other, We value each other's opinions.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So, yeah, guys, we hope that us telling you how we've seen changes in our lives, how we've developed, is helpful towards you. Hope that it encourages conversation, and motivates you to create your culture, and to pivot, make different decisions from what you normally would have with your spouse, with your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, so that you can see like how you guys can grow together. Because sometimes doing the same thing over and over, like the way you usually do it, it doesn't stimulate growth. So, yeah, we hope this podcast has been a help.
Yeah.
I'm K.A. Will.
And I'm Gabby.
And we are K&G Culture. Create your culture. So we want to say bye to our culture family.